Nobody wants a single mother with baggage. My sister Glenda at her own wedding, but what her groom did next left the entire room silent. I was reviewing a small business expense report in my apartment on Beacon Lane in Bellingham, Washington, the early autumn. Light filtered through the window, blinds casting soft gold on the papers. Spread across my desk, the muted click of my keyboard helped me stay focused as I rushed to meet a freelance deadline. I had 15 minutes before I needed to leave. For pickup, my daughter Ivy had choir practice across town. This cramped corner, cluttered with teacups, sticky notes, and a hand-drawn Mother's Day card, was my fortress. At 34, I'd grown used to the noise, the mess, and the quiet pride of raising a child alone. The door creaked open and Ivy peeked in, her dark curls bouncing, cheeks flushed. "You almost done, Mama?" she asked, cradling a stuffed fox in one arm. "Almost, sweetheart," I replied, smiling at her bright brown eyes. "Guess what I learned today?" she grinned. "Harry Tubman." She was braver than anyone. I paused, heart swelling. Ivy was only 9, but she carried herself like someone older, sharp, curious, kind. Since my ex disappeared and Dad passed away, it had just been the two of us. We carved out our own rhythm, our own joy, piece by piece. My phone buzzed. It was my mother, Claudia. "Tomorrow's rehearsal dinner is at our place. Coming?" "Yes." Her tone left no room for negotiation. "I'll bring Ivy," I said, already tense. A sigh. "Fine, just keep her settled. This is Harrietta's weekend." Always Harriet, the golden child, lawyer, flawless, newly engaged. "What does her fiancé do again?" I asked. "Logan Fields, estate attorney, Stanford, comes from a prominent family." Claudia practically cooped, bit my lip. I could already picture the smug glances, Alice's perfectly curated Instagram smile, way she'd look me up and down like I was wearing poverty. I ended the call and stared at my laptop. Evie's gentle humming drifted from her room, probably drawing again. My heart clenched. She noticed the cold shoulders, the subtle digs, but she never complained. Neither did I. Tomorrow we'd walk into Claudia's sprawling colonial mansion on Evergreen Avenue, heads high. As we reached the steps, I straightened Ivy's dress and whispered, "No matter what happens, you shine." "Okay," she nodded. Neither of us had any idea what Logan was about to say. "Ready, bug?" I asked softly. Ivy nodded, her small fingers smoothing her dress. "I'll be fine, Mama." That look, the quiet bravery in her eyes, squeezed something deep in my chest. Claudia opened the door, her smile as stiff as the pearls around her neck. "Arbor." "Ivy, you're late." "We're right on time," I replied, guiding Ivy into the grand entryway. The air smelled like rosemary, candles, and roasted duck. From the sitting room floated sharp-clipped laughter. Harrietta's voice. "Come," Claudia said, turning without waiting. "Harriet and Logan are eager to see you." Harriet reclined on a cream velvet chase wine glass, balanced elegantly in one hand. Her dress sparkled with designer confidence. She rose when she saw us, flashing a too bright smile. "Harper, so glad you could make it," she said, then gave Ivy the barest glance. "And this is Logan," she added, slipping her arm through his. He stood, a tall man with classic features, suit tailored with surgical precision. "Harper, great to finally meet you," Logan said warmly, shaking my hand, his hazel eyes locked with mine, kind and unexpectedly familiar. "Likewise," I said. His grip was confident but respectful. Then he turned to Ivy. "Hey there, what grade are you in?" "Fourth," Ivy said shyly, clinging to her fox plush. "Earth grade was my favorite," he said. "I once built a working lighthouse for a school project. Didn't work, but it looked cool." Ivy giggled. "I'm doing a volcano. Hope it doesn't explode too soon." "You're going to nail it," he said, giving her a wink. I stared, momentarily stunned. No one here ever spoke to Ivy like she mattered. Harriet cleared her throat. "Arbor, are you really wearing that too?" "The wedding?" she asked, eyes flicking over my blouse and slacks. Smug, I kept my expression flat. "I'll sort something out," Claudia chimed in smoothly. "We didn't ask you to be in the bridal party, dear. We figured you'd be overwhelmed with your responsibilities." My nails dug into my palm, but I just nodded. Logan shifted beside Harriet, jaw Visibly clenched, he didn't say a word. But something flickered across his face. Discomfort or maybe disapproval. Dinner dragged on, champagne clinks, Harrietta's. Endless chatter about linens and guest counts. Ivy squeezed my hand under the table. We were still in this together. In the weeks before the wedding, I became the silent engine behind the chaos, booking vendors, calming crises, and managing every detail. Harriet and Claudia overlooked. No credit, no complaints, just quiet strength. My freelance finance work had taught me how to quiet storms with systems, spreadsheets instead of shouting grace. Instead of guilt, I did it for Ivy, for peace, for the flicker of hope that one day my family might actually see me. One evening I sat alone in Claudia's study, buried in floral invoices, seating charts and half-filled RSVPs. The room smelled like lilacs and lemon oil. I was gently correcting a guest's misspelled name when Logan appeared in the door. Holding 2 mugs. Coffee, he asked, walking in and setting one beside me. I blinked, surprised. Thanks, I'm just fixing a seating mix-up. Harriet accidentally invited her old college rival, he chuckled, settling across from me. You do know you're basically running this wedding, right? I shrugged. Someone has to. He looked down at my precisely labeled folders, his gaze lingering. This is incredible. Seriously, a flush crept into my cheeks. It's just what I do. Logan tilted his head. Do you believe in déjà vu, like you've met someone before, even if you haven't? I froze, my pen hovering. Maybe. Why do you know anyone named Emily? He asked, his voice lower. A chill crept over my skin. My breath caught. Something shifted, deep, unnamed. I didn't know why it mattered, but it did. Days later, my phone buzzed. Logan's name glowed on the screen. Harper, I need to talk, he said, voice low and urgent. I want you to be Harriet's maid of honor. I nearly dropped the phone. Logan, Harriet didn't even ask me to be a bridesmaid. I know, he said. I told her it mattered, that you matter. His words cracked something open inside me. I don't want to cause a scene, I murmured. I'll handle it, just say yes. There was a long silence, then, okay, I whispered. The next morning, Claudia called. Her voice was razor sharp. Harper, what were you thinking? Harriet is beside herself. You just had to make it about you. I didn't ask, I said quietly. Logan did, she scoffed. Of course. You're always the victim. Don't ruin your sister's wedding. I stared out the window. Ivy was twirling in the yard, the wind catching her dress like a kite. If Harriet doesn't want me there, I said, voice steady, she can tell me. I'll step back. You can't, Claudia snapped. Logan's told everyone, don't make this worse. And just when I thought the real drama had already played out behind the scenes, Logan stepped up to the microphone at the wedding reception and said something no one saw coming. If you've been holding your breath like I was, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happened next, because trust me, the best part is just beginning. I hung up, hands shaking. Doubt crept in, but Ivy's soft giggle from the other room pulled me back to center. I was doing this for her, for me, and maybe finally for the chance to be seen. The night before the wedding, sleep wouldn't come. Claudia's voice echoed like static, accusations, blame, that icy warning. Harriet hadn't called, not a message, not a word. Her silence hurt more than anything she could have said. But Logan's voice, his quiet insistence that I mattered, helped me stay grounded. I snores drifted through the wall. Tomorrow we'd walk through fire together. The wedding at St. Andrew's Chapel in Bellingham shimmered like a page torn from a magazine. White roses, gold runners, cathedral light filtering through stained glass. It was Harrietta's day and everything gleamed. I arrived early with Ivy. My sky blue dress was simple, chosen to be respectful but elegant. Ivy in her tiny navy blazer and silver shoes held my hand tightly. You look amazing, Mama, she whispered. Thanks, baby, I said, kissing her forehead. Inside the bridal suite, Harriet was a flurry of satin and hairspray, bridesmaids fluttering around her like birds. She barely acknowledged me. Her jaw was locked. Claudia, perched by the window, gave me a once-over. That dress, she muttered. Very you. I smiled. I'd been called plain my whole life. It didn't cut anymore. When the ceremony began, I stood behind Harriet, Bouquet in hand, I moved with poise, not for her but for myself. Ivy beamed from the front pew, a lighthouse in my storm. Logan met my gaze across the altar, his nod steady. I returned it, our silent pack. The reception at the Bellingham Heritage Hall glittered under crystal chandeliers, white linens flickering, candles, champagne towers. Harriet, radiant in her beaded gown, took the mic. I want to thank my maid of honor, she said sweetly. My sister Harper. I smiled faintly as applause rose. Then her voice shifted, sweet, turning sharp. Harper's a single mom raising a kid all by herself, so brave, right? I mean, no one's ever really chosen her. The air thickened. A few guests chuckled. Unsure. Still available, by the way, Harriet added. Anyone want to take home a used model with a bonus kit? Laughter burst like shattered glass. Evie's hand gripped mine. I couldn't breathe. Claudia stood grinning. Our Harper's always been the quiet one, reliable. Dull maybe, but even second-hand can be repurposed. My vision blurred. I stood about to walk out, then a chair scraped. Logan stood, face flushed, hands clenched. The room froze. He walked to Harriet and took the mic. I need to say something, he said, voice taut with fury. Harriet laughed weakly. Logan, what are you? He raised a hand, silencing her. Tonight was supposed to be my wedding, but what really matters is the truth. Logan looked directly at me, his voice clear and shaking with emotion. Harper and I didn't meet last month. We met years ago when my little sister Emily was dying of leukemia. Gasp rippled through the reception hall. I stood frozen, pulse roaring in my ears. Harper wasn't just some volunteer, Logan continued, eyes locked on Harriet and Claudia. She was the one who brought books, sang songs, stayed late when nurses couldn't. She was Emily's light. In the darkest hours. He turned, scanning the room, and she brought her daughter Ivy, just 5 at the time, who drew pictures for Emily every week. Made her laugh, gave her joy right to the end. He looked at Claudia and Harriet. And tonight you tried to humiliate them. You mocked the very people who carried my sister through her final days. Lisa's face fell. Logan, please. I'm calling off this wedding, he said firmly. A collective gasp echoed through the room. A glass chattered in the back. Claudia stood pale. You don't know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, Logan said. Send me the bill. I won't be part of this cruelty. He turned to Ivy and knelt. Thank you for being the bright star that you are. Then he stood and extended his hand toward me. Harper, come with me. My hand found his. Ivy beside me. We walked out together, past Harrietta's tears, past Claudia's glare, past a room too stunned to move. We didn't look back. Later we sat on the quiet deck of Crescent Bay Grill, waterfront restaurant overlooking the waves. String lights glowed above us, the sea breeze brushing against our skin. For the first time all day I breathed. Ivy traced shapes on the wooden table, peaceful in her own world. Logan watched her with a gentleness that reminded me of my father, steady, protective, kind. Our plate sat untouched. Logan finally broke the silence. I'm sorry for the speech, for the chaos, for all of it. You don't need to apologize for their behavior, I said quietly. You stood up when no one else ever has. That's more than enough. He nodded, then looked at me with quiet gravity. You the truth about Elle. I didn't ask, but I listened. After Emily died, I was drowning, he said. Harriet was loud, a distraction, at first. That felt like healing. I nodded. I understand that kind of escape, but it faded. She never asked about Emily. Never cared. He looked at me, and when I saw you again, everything clicked. His phone buzzed. Alice's name. He silenced it. She'll keep calling, I said softly. I'm done, Logan said firmly, staring at the silent phone. She'll hear from my lawyer. Ivy looked up from her napkin sketch, a lighthouse glowing against a starry sky. She gave us a quiet smile, her way of saying she understood more than we realized. Ivy, Logan said gently, do you remember the drawings you made at the hospital, the ones with stars and planets? Her brow furrowed. For the lady with no hair, she liked space. Logan smiled, eyes misty. That was my sister, Emily. She kept your drawings by her bed. You made her happy. Ivy blinked. She said I was funny. You were her hero, Logan said softly. The Waves crashed beneath the deck, but the silence that followed felt like peace. The next morning we drove to Bayview Memorial Park where pines framed the cliffs above the sea. The air smelled like salt and new beginnings. Emily. Gravestone was simple, beloved, brave. Bright. Logan knelt, laying down fresh daisies, her favorite. I stood close. Ivy's hand in mine, from her coat pocket. Ivy pulled a stone she'd painted the night before, a yellow sun. Surrounded by stars, I made this for her, she whispered, placing it gently beside the flowers. Thank you for liking my drawings. Logan's breath hitched. I rested my hand on his back. She'd love it, he said, voice catching. We stood there in silence, hands intertwined, hearts open. I closed my eyes, whispering, thank you, Emily, for bringing us together. The wind stirred softly, warm like a laugh as we walked back to the car. Logan took my hand, I didn't pull away. The world felt lighter. Evie skipped ahead, humming. For the first time in years I felt something I hadn't dared to believe in. Hope. A year later I stood in front of a brick office on Laurel Street in downtown Bellingham. Ivy curled along the windows. A hand-painted sign read, Harper Wells Financial Services. You should have your name on the door. Logan said, people need to know who the magic comes from. Inside, the walls were light gray. Soft music played and Ivy's artwork lined the space behind my desk. Business was steady, my reputation growing. Ivy, now 11, was blossoming. Soccer team captain, class ambassador. Beaming with pride, Logan never missed a game, a spelling test, or a night on the couch. We weren't married yet, but we were already a family. As for Harriet and Claudia, their voices faded. Harrietta's career never recovered. Claudia left voicemails, half apologies wrapped in blame. I never called back. It was Christmas Eve. Our living room glowed with soft lights. Ivy slept on the couch, curled under a fleece blanket. The trees sparkled. My heart was full. Logan sat beside me, cocoa in hand. Then he shifted and pulled a small box from his pocket. I've been waiting for the right moment, he said. My heart fluttered. What's that? He opened the box. Inside was a delicate emerald ring, vintage. Beautiful. It was Emily's, he said. She told me, give this to the one who teaches you what love really means. That's you, Harper. Tears slipped down my cheeks. Will you marry me? He asked. Let's build this life for real. I looked at Ivy, at the ring, at the man who saw me when no one else did. You're already a family, I whispered, but yes, let's make it official. Outside, snow began to fall, wrapping our beginning in quiet light. To everyone listening, thank you for sharing this journey. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Join our little family. There are more stories to tell. Stay strong, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next